globally as a speaker, retreat facilitator, medium, and mentor. My mission is to awaken and realign you back to your magnificence, your power, and infinite potential. As the founder of the Rise with Love philosophy, I'm honored to share wisdom that will create the expansion of joy, abundance, love, and freedom to flow into your life. If you're ready, I want to hear you say yes, because the most wonderful things will unfold for you when you embark on the journey to rise with love. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode. I am so excited that you are taking the time to journey on discovering yourself and immersing in all things enlightenment. I have a very special guest for today, my dear friend. I've known her for many years, a fellow soul sister, the incredible Linda Roberts, who is the I Am a Manifester. So you want to stay on because this is going to be a goodie. Her mission is to open up as many hearts as possible and to help the world develop spiritually. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait to see what we're going to chat about. So it is with my absolute delight to welcome the incredible Linda Roberts.
Hello. Oh, look, thank you very much for having me, Melissa. I love talking to you, and it's a really good chance for us to catch up and talk about what's going on in the world as
So,
well.
Linda, we have known each other for so many years now. It's been incredible to see your journey and how you've blossomed into this identity of the I Am a Manifester, which for you is perfect because I'm going to share an incredible story about how you really are the most amazing manifester that I know on this planet. Can you share with us your statement, "We are one," which, I love that so much. How did you come up with that?
Oh, I think that especially this year, we've moved from the I am consciousness into the we are one. It's universal. So we no longer are doing what we did in the old ways spiritually. This year is all about energy, and it's all about being not just I or global, it's universal.
So moving into that collective consciousness, right?
Yeah, it certainly is.
I love the unity because, I believe you and I have some of the same understandings in terms of spirituality and the reason we do life on earth. And this whole we are interconnected theme is something that more and more people are becoming conscious of. I love your statement that we are one. It's perfect.
Well, we are one can heal anything. If we all get together and we put love out to the universe, that just comes back. The universe mirrors what we feel.
Oh, it sure does. Hey, so Linda, I'm going to hand it over to you for a second because you have this incredible book that you have written. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your book and probably one of your favorite things that we have done together.
Well, you're in the book. So the book is called 7/8 of Me, A Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer. So it started off like the self-doubt of actually getting out of, I live in Tasmania, so getting out of just a small island. Half of my life at the beginning was like I didn't ever think that I could go anywhere. I thought that this was all it was ever going to be. And so to jump out of the box and start travelling the world was really cool. But the first trip was a sacred site tour that we went on to England, and we went and studied at Finlay College. And the three of us, you, myself, and Karen, sort of linked up. It was the funniest time because I just felt like I'd been to so many different places before, and it was just a whole new experience for me, and it opened the doors. But when we were studying at Arthur Finlay College, and you have self-doubt when you're learning stuff, and you shared a room with me, and that was really cool. But when we'd go out to have a break at lunchtime, we actually found this tree together that if we stood under this tree, we'd just burst out giggling for no reason. And it was such a light-hearted phase, sort of fairy energy. It was just beautiful. So the days that continued, we would go outside and then go, ready? We're going to walk under the tree to see what would happen. And just seeing you giggle and laugh, and, that just made my day. It was just a beautiful experience. And watching you get up and do your mediumship, that was really, really cool. The day that I got up, you actually got up probably 3 people before me, and you really are something to aspire to. Your dedication for your study and your learning things just made the depth of you and our friendship and our soul connection as soul sisters very, very similar. So it was really nice to be around a like-minded person.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I remember we celebrated your birthday at Arthur Findlay College as well. It was the most, for me, that trip was incredible. And I think that's when I probably fell in love with you, because I was going to share a story about how I just thought, my gosh, this woman can make anything happen. So before we went to the Arthur Findlay College, we did a lot of the sacred sites in England. And one of the first ones we did was in Glastonbury, which for me, I hold very fond memories of, because that's where a lot of the fairy portals are. And I think that's the first time I ever saw energy per se. But I'll never forget, you were so determined that we were going to find King Arthur and Guinevere, is that her name?
Yes.
And so you were like, we're going to find the grave. And then we found the grave. And it was like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, I've always wanted to see this tree from Jesus. And then the next thing you know, literally around the corner from the grave was the tree. And I was like, this woman just thinks it and then it appears. And I was like, for me, probably my real first taste of how powerful we can be as manifestors. And so when you say, I am a manifestor, it's like your brand. Guys, you are in the best hand, because Linda is an incredible person who's so connected with the universe that she just makes you feel like you can do anything. So that's what I love about you, and I'll never forget that. Can you elaborate on why that tree was so special?
Yeah, Jesus' uncle Joseph came into England and he put his staff in the ground and up grew the holy thorn tree. It only flowers at Christmas and Easter, and the Queen gets a thorn, and so it's really spiritual. But we were on Archangel Michael and Mary's ley line, you know, so it follows right up through England and goes to the Rosslyn Chapel. And I'm writing my next book now, and the first chapter is about Rosslyn Chapel. Do you know what the other experience that really blew me away when we were in Glastonbury together? Remember, Karen went into that shop and she wanted her aura photo done, and you and I sat outside on this really wicked seat that had dragon heads on it, and I said, I don't want to have another aura photo. I've had 5, and you know, and then we sat there for a while just yapping and talking about things, and they went, oh good, I think I'm going to go and have this aura photo done. I probably will never be back in Glastonbury. Little did I know I've been there 3 times now. And then we went in, and remember that guy came in with a guide drawing for that woman, you know, and he said, that's the one. And I'm like, what? Like, here I am, this 5'2" woman from Tasmania on the other side of the world, and this man's saying, oh, I've got this guide drawing. It was an Arthurian guide, and it actually connected me to King Arthur. So it was clarification. Everything that we were seeing and experiencing, it was meant to happen. And even when we were in the Glastonbury Abbey, and I said, oh, here comes that Merlin energy. And we just all laid down on the grass, you know, to share that with you guys, because you're in the same sort of realms and the same thinking. It was just amazing. I will never forget that, and I was so grateful that you were there.
It was the most incredible ignition for me. I really feel that trip was probably what ignited all of us that went on that incredible trip all those years ago. And one of the things that I'd love for you to talk about, since you've mentioned it, I was going to leave it for a little bit later, but let's talk about it now. If you could have a conversation with anybody that has walked the planet or anything like that, who would it be for you and why?
Merlin, because it would just be amazing to hear his take on that era. It's about academic will say that King Arthur is a fable, but I've met King Arthur. We've done mediumship, so we can actually tap into that. But to hear Merlin to talk about the stones, you know, the standing stones and Stonehenge, and they've got the rocks from Wales and brought it in, to hear about the negative and the positive aspects of what he had to do, where he could foresee the future, what he tried to put into place. Just his knowledge and his wisdom. I just think we're bringing magic back into the world. I think with all our spiritual people that we're actually, there was a time period when the witches got hunted and burned and all the rest of it, that people actually didn't rely on their ability in their brain to think of the magic. And I think talking to Merlin would certainly bring back in some of that information that we can tap into.
Yeah. And, I always say to people, everybody can do this. Everybody has the ability to tap into their intuition, the connection to the universe and all that kind of stuff. And I really feel there is an awakening. People are starting to be so much more open to their own ability and magnificence, and talking people who are so wise, like someone like Merlin, would really open up such a different dimension for us to see that we are one. Yeah. Time is not linear. Time is, I don't really know how else to explain it. I explain it as in cycles, really. Yeah. So I would love to be part of that conversation. That would be amazing. So Linda, you, of course, are such a busy bee. You don't just have this book that is phenomenal. You also have these incredible manifestor cards. So I thought it would be really cool if you would pick a card for everybody that gets to listen to this podcast, and you can tell us a little bit about how you created the cards, how the inspiration came as well.
Right, I'll shuffle. Well, I'll put the intent out while I'm talking about them. I've always used oracle cards and tarot cards. I started off in my late teens using playing card, and I've always, because really when you're reading for yourself or you're trying to get the psychic information, it's tough sometimes to get the answers. And way back then I was doing the wrong things anyway. I wasn't listening to spirit and I was making some bad decisions for myself. That's really where it all started. And so I was always doing the cards, trying to get answers, and I couldn't quite get the answers that I wanted to. So I wanted to make these manifesting cards. So they're called, I'm a manifestor magical oracle card, and I wanted to make them really be logical. I'm a Leo. There's no frills about me. What I say is what you get from me. And I wanted to make them so that if I asked a question, it was going to answer it. And even in the pack, what's my next step? There's a card in here that's actually a wild card. And so a lot of people get to the point of not knowing what they want to manifest or what's the next thing. If you pull the what's my next step card, you can leave that out and shuffle again and go, okay, spirit, what is it that I've got to work on next to get where I need to go for my highest good? So let's have a look and see. This is for manifesting. So what do we need to know that gives us a bit of a roadmap, a bit of an idea what we can tap into and what we need to work on? And at the moment, I think this is positive in the world. It's the trust card. So on the card, it's a picture of a train. So I call it like being on my spiritual train or off my spiritual train. There's a girl sitting on a magic carpet and Archangel Nathaniel's up in the corner. When you need to trust spirit, it's like being on a magic carpet ride. They will take you from synchronicity to message to sign to synchronicity. So it's trusting in the messages that you get, being in the now, staying positive, being still in your mind and hearing the messages. When I'm on my spiritual train, everything sort of flows. And I get wonderful opportunities happening. As soon as I get off a spiritual train, everything turns to shit. So it's trusting that being and partnering with spirit will actually bring it all and bring all the clarification and the messages and the synchronicities that you need.
That is so perfect, because I think there's a lot of people out there that go, Melissa, I am doing all the things for manifesting, but it's just not happening. Probably it's our human part of ourselves, that ego kind of takes over, right? And this is something that I know you are going to delve into for us, how we can truly harness that manifesting power. It is trusting. And for me, trust is surrender and allow.
Yeah, true. Very true. But it's also the trusting part and the manifesting is really letting spirit cleanse what you're trying to manifest, because a lot of people forget that spirit can see everything. And so they've got the all-seeing eye, like Horus, they can see everything. So we might try and manifest something that's not for our highest good. We think that we want that. We think that we need that. We have a picture in our heads of what we want it to look like. And we use our free will. We partner with spirit for help. We partner with spirit. When we let go and we say to spirit, for my highest good, you're actually letting spirit bring in what is for your highest good. It may not look like exactly what you want, but you have to trust. And the letting go part is so important. But we've also got to mirror what it is we want to come in. So you've got to mirror the feeling. So it's not about the person, place, thing, job. It's how you want to feel in those moments. What do you want to feel like? And I wanted to feel freedom in my life because there was restrictions and limitations, and I didn't want to have limitations anymore. So I wanted the freedom to do what I wanted, when I wanted, however I wanted. And that means that prosperity, so that I had the money to do what I wanted. Now I've been working on my heart to bring in somebody for my highest good in my heart, that's there for that reason. So I need to sit in the place of love. I need to love myself unconditionally so that I'm mirroring what's coming in. And so when you're looking at prosperity and manifesting money, then you need to have a respect of money. You need to get rid of the old conditioning of all the old things that your parents taught you about money and those sorts of things. There's a freedom that you get when you think, thank you, bills, I've got enough money to pay you. I'm going to go and do different things. I'm going to see things through new eyes. And all of that creates the momentum. Ultimately, it's letting go of how you want it to look like to spirit.
You can't manifest prosperity from the feeling of lack.
No.
That's not the right mirroring. That's what you're talking about. It's like you've got to embody that, even if you're not necessarily abundant, but as long as you embody the abundance, then of course what you're mirroring to the universe or to spirit. So I love that. I really believe that it is about feeling. It's how you feel more than necessarily what you say and think.
True. And abundance to me is anything. I can be standing, you guys in Glastonbury, and I felt abundant and so bloody grateful. And then I could be sitting looking at a cloud in the sky, and that's my abundance. You think outside the box, you don't just find the abundance in just money or abundance of time. Abundance in your surrounding, it's the gratitude that you have for life. It's the passion that you have for life. You love life and life will love you.
No, that's so beautiful. I love that. But for people, Linda, who are really not sure how to let that fear go, how do we let it go? Because I feel human beings, we like to hold on to the stuff that we know, even if it's not serving us. So how do you help people to let it go?
Well, I have to work on fear. There's two things that I work on all the time is fear and patience for myself. The fear, and especially at the moment in this world at the moment, mass media madness, don't even watch it. Go into your heart space, clear your mind, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, breathe in through your nose, into your heart space and out through your mouth. Your mind will still. So you'll have let go the power and the thought processes. It's not about not feeling your gut feeling. It's going, Spirit, I release fear and doubt. I'm going to go into my heart space, into this loving space. It's connecting into spirit and becoming a clear channel. When we fear things, it's of course we don't know what's coming, but being vulnerable is when we're open. So it's like stepping towards the fear and actually just, how can I put it, stepping towards the fear and just flowing with it instead of the resistance. When you resist, it becomes uncomfortable.
And I always kind of tell my people that I don't believe fear actually exists. Fear is something that has been put on the planet to keep us playing small.
Yep.
So I love that we must go into our heart, our own being knows. Like you say, then we become this incredible channel, and we can't allow ourselves to be influenced by what's going on in the media and the world and all that kind of stuff. Half of it, probably 3/4 of it, is fabricated anyway. Going into yourself, I love that, and seeing you as source sees you, as spirit sees you, as the universe sees you, and that is love. Releasing the fear. I love that intention that you say, just saying, I release this fear and I let it go. Beautiful. It's so easy. I've used your control, halt, delete. That was something you taught me many years ago, and I have passed that on to thousands of people. When you say something or when you feel something and you don't necessarily want that, the control, halt, delete function, just like we do on our computers, that works as well, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly does. And another thing that I've been finding that I've been saying to people lately, I'm doing a spiritual development course and I've got a couple of students that I'm mentoring. And I've noticed that there's a link that they're putting to themselves and their family's health problem. So I've been saying to a lot of people lately, I'm not my family nor my family's health problem. So there's little things that you can say that you're putting out to the universe. Once you believe that, and trust, like the card said, that you trust spirit is bang on with you, and you say those things, they're picking up all of those little sayings like control, alt, delete, don't even want that thought process in my head. And I say it to people and I think, is it rude? I don't care. I don't want that energy coming into me.
Yeah, I agree. You are precious in terms of your energy and your being. And when I say you, I mean as the collective, all of us. And so you have the choice. You have the choice as to what you let in and what you don't. One of the things that you said earlier was this was important for you to have freedom. How do you define freedom? What is freedom to you?
Okay, it's no limitations. No limitations, age, race, time, money, anything. I have no limitations. I think when I became a theta healer, and so I go up into a theta brainwave, and we go straight to the creator and ask the creator for things, and we go through the 7 planes, that it gave me the glue to put all the modalities that I've ever learnt together, which brought in the unlimited thinking. The freedom is to look at things through new eyes, to not have restraints, to not have that academic ritual or everything's got to be in a certain order or way. It's being totally free. That's the freedom part of it. So it enables me to go to places. I make sure that if I'm feeling a bit stagnant, that I go and do something I haven't done before, because I stay in the now. And I've had a pretty lucky life in the last few years. I've got to travel around the world. That is really easy to feel free and to stay in the now, because I am seeing new things. A lot harder when you're home and you're doing things and you've got family and all the stuff that you've got to do is to look at things through new eyes. You have to actually initiate that. You have to initiate the freedom to start thinking like that. Look at your children in a different light. Look at your partner in a different light. Look at your home in a different light. How does this make me feel? I ask myself that all the time. So it's finding the things that you can see that are new, that's creating the momentum to be freer as a person.
Oh, I love that. Looking at things from a new point of view, new perspective. I love travel.
Yeah, I know you do.
We've traveled a few times together
Yeah.
as well. Travel for me is such a fundamental part of our enlightenment. But I love that you say you've got to give it the momentum. You've got to be the one that's making it happen.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people believe that they don't have the freedom to do what they want because of their life situation, or they believe life has restricted them in some way. So what would you say to someone who has this way of thinking?
Yeah. Well, the first part of my life was shit. So I was in the victim mode, and I owned it. I owned my behaviours. I owned how my behaviours connected to my family. So I had to release a lot of stuff. So the more that you release and the more you let go to spirit, the more space that you make for new things. Okay, so that is the fundamental foundation to do anything, is the self-love part. It's the clearing out of stuff and releasing stuff. It's really faking it until you make it. Okay, if you don't have any money, and I'm not spending money all the time. I went to Liffey Falls here in Tasmania on the weekend, and I haven't been there for years. And we went to a different area, a different car park, and went on a bit of a hike down to the waterfalls. So when we go out for meals, we go to different restaurants. We try different things. So it's getting out of the patterns and the cycles and actually starting to implement new things. And if it's a park or the bush, or walk a different way, leave work half an hour earlier and just go off on a walk before you go to work. It doesn't have to cost you money, but it's going to create the momentum.
It's going to create the universe to see that you want to have new experiences. So it's going to bring in new people and different opportunities. But if you're doing the same thing all the time, you're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
That's what they all say, right? So it's about changing things up a little bit. I want to ask you, Linda, the Rise with Love for me is, we've got to come together and realize that through love, we can be reunited to who we are and we can do absolutely anything. So that's what Rise with Love is all about. So I want to know, what was the tipping point in your life that made you realize you've got to share your message with the world?
Spirit nagging me. There's not another word. They nagged me. And then every time I was seeing another clairvoyant or a friend or whatever, they'd say, have you written those books yet? Have you done this? Have you done that? But really, ultimately, it was when now I'm not suggesting everybody do this, but I actually sold all my stuff and furniture and gave it away and went with 2 suitcases and lived somewhere. Whilst I was there living where I didn't know anyone, I actually started writing, and it was like a big purge. I wrote 52,000 words. I thought it was going to be the book, but really it wasn't. It was emptying out. So when I did that, Spirit came in and started giving me speaking gigs and workshop gigs and things like that. And it just started to step it up because I'd done enough work. As healers and spiritual mediums, psychics, clairvoyants, we actually need to walk our walk and talk our talk. So it wasn't until I actually started healing myself and got to the point of, okay, this worked for me. I've tried millions of other things early on, counsellors, psych, Dianetics, all sorts of Reiki, all sorts of stuff. And I am a Reiki master and those things. So, but until I found what worked for me, the speaking jobs and the readings and the workshops and stuff didn't move forward. So Spirit was waiting for me to clear that stuff, to heal myself, to be able to talk and to deliver those messages as a clear channel.
And I think it's really powerful is you had to heal you.
Yes.
And I think probably a lot of people are afraid of healing themselves.
Oh, it's tough. There was days, like in my book, 7/8 of Me, Tale of a Spiritual Adventurer, I've actually written a bit in there about writing and releasing and how I did it. And there was days that I would be sobbing. And then there's other days and I thought I'd write something else and I'd go, oh, I didn't even know that bothered me. But it was sort of like the onion layer is not cliche. It really happens. You lift one thing and then another thing's there. And somebody said to me one day, where do you start? And I said, go back to the most happiest that you can remember in your life and then move forward from there.
That's a good tip. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could just in that moment think back to what my favorite memory would be. I think the furthest I can kind of go is as a 3-year-old with my grandfather back in Africa in Gabon and putting the tortoises back into the water because they were trying to keep them to sell at the markets. And that's what I remember. That would probably be the first memory for me.
Yeah, my happiest time was when I was 9 and I thought, oh shit, and it went downhill after that. But I wasn't being myself. I was being the persona of the family archetype. Like I was taking on my father's behaviours and he loved me. He loved all the family. I just started to continue the cycle. And so, yeah, it was a long time. And I like myself now, you know, after doing all of that work. And I used to self-sabotage a lot. I had addictive behaviours and I was trying to fill that void inside from outside external things. But once I purged and I let go of all of that stuff, I started to like myself. And I thought I don't have that void anymore. And probably this is the best version I've ever been.
Yeah, when you are your authentic self.
Yeah, it takes you a long time to get there though.
Well, you are there now, and I think you're amazing. And I think a lot of us believe you are an incredible light worker in this world.
Yeah.
Sweetheart, where to next? Where to from here?
Oh, well, where to from here? The universe. Look, I'm just speaking. I'm doing spiritual development because I'm home in Tassie now for a while. So I'm just doing a spiritual development. I do my live every Wednesday night. I'm being on a cover of a magazine, but I can't say. But really, speaking is what I love doing. I love talking and sharing stuff and being authentic. And you and I are the same. We talk about our past experiences, you know, what we've gone through, how we've got there, what it made us feel like. I just want to help raise the vibration of the world. We're in 5D now, you know, and the 3D is so stagnant, so old. I don't want to stay there. I just want to fly.
For people who don't understand what 3D, they might think, you know, we're talking about like, you know, 3D glasses or things like that, or 5D. Just briefly explain what that is.
Yeah. Okay. So the Earth's made up of grids and meridians and things like that. And we are all vibration. We are all energy. Now, the world is encircled in the electromagnetic shield, what we call it. It's the Schumann resonance. That's the vibration itself that goes around the world. The blueprint and the codes that were in the world up until 21st of the 12th, 2012 were 3D. So it was the energy that we were vibrating at basically. And that got upgraded on that date, but only the light workers sort of upgraded. And then we needed a certain amount of light workers in the world vibrating at that level to anchor in the energies for the Earth this year. So the whole Earth and everybody has moved up to the 5D frequency, I suppose, which is a very heart-based, loving place. And the people that are struggling because they're not moving on, they're actually not releasing the old and making way for the new. And that brings in a whole new struggle and a whole new purge for the world. So I can sort of understand why things are happening the way that they are at the moment. I follow, like I said, the electromagnetic field that goes around the world. I follow that and look at the vibrational frequencies and the shifts and what happens after that. I've been doing that for a few years. I went to the North Pole, not the North Pole, I went to Iceland.
You're Santa.
I know. I was in the Aurora Oval, is what they call it. And it's where the solar flares and the particles come in to make the aurora and the northern lights. And it's because it can only come through in the North Pole and the South Pole. And actually what I found out was the vibration up there is so much clearer and not as dense as the rest of the world. That channeling, that's why the aura's there. All of that energy and that vibration coming into that area was off the charts compared to anything I've ever felt. It's beautiful. And this year's all about energy and vibration and frequency. And so with the media mass thing that's happening, I don't watch TV. I make sure that I have frequency playing on my TV through YouTube. I put on a different hertz and I really try and create in my space a higher frequency with a different hertz so that I'm not even in that space.
I talk about actually the love tone, the 528 frequency on my podcast, Love is the Greatest Superpower. So I'm really into that kind of stuff too. I have to agree. I don't actually know what goes on, not because I want to be ignorant, but more because I know that it's more things that are being shared are to keep us playing small, are to keep us in that fear, that mass-produced fear, because when we're in fear, we're not aligned with love, right? And that's when we're powerful. We are powerful when we are in that love state.
I call it my sweet spot. As soon as I hit my sweet spot, I'm happier, I'm confident, I'm in the zone. Shit happens when I'm in my sweet spot. So if you can get into your sweet spot, like really feeling anchored and powerful, you know, I'm a Leo, and I'm short, 5'2", but when I'm in my sweet spot, I feel like 6 foot tall and bulletproof.
You totally are. So my gorgeous friend, I think you'd agree, when we're manifesting or we want more for ourselves, we're not taking that away from anybody else having it. We actually create the opportunity for them to also have it too. So would that be correct?
Yeah, like it's sharing by example. We're using our words now, but people have watched my journey and they can actually see the difference of my life now than then, you know. I'm looking good. I'm 55 this year. I don't feel like that. I never have done. You've got to remember that you are your best crystal ball. Your gut feeling, your intuition, you know stuff. And then when you start accepting that you know stuff, and then you open your brain to thinking, you know, I can manifest stuff, that your mind has so much power to it. I said to somebody the other day, if somebody does something wrong, something happens, and I've had to tweak that even so that there's no harm to anyone, because your thoughts are so powerful. You really need to honour and respect your thoughts. Biggest thing that I did out of all my manifesting, because I used to be a caretaker, I used to look after everybody else, was I realised I could manifest for myself.
Yeah, instead of manifesting things for other people all the time, you could manifest things for you. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I didn't realise I was always bloody helping people, which I still do, but I now know that I've got to fill my cup first.
Yeah, so important. I talk about that a lot, how you have to be on the top of the ladder, which a lot of us, you know, as humanity, we are told to feel like we need to be at the bottom of the ladder.
No way. No.
You've got to put yourself first. I love that we totally vibe on the same message, on the same outlook on life, even though we are two different people who have different experiences, but we're united with one thing. Like you say, we are one. We're united with love. I just encourage all of you to go and follow Linda Willow Roberts. She is amazing. And you're going to gain so much from her. Thank you for giving us this time, this incredible wisdom and knowledge that you've shared with us. So my gorgeous friend, please tell us, where can people find you? And I'll make sure that I link this up anyway. Give us the name of your website.
Thank you. My website is lindawillowroberts.com or lindawillowroberts.com.au.
It's been so lovely to speak with you. I am so excited for people to follow your journey, to become the greatest manifestors. And oh my gosh, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me. And you know, the difference that you and I in our connection is that I see your soul and you see mine.
Totally do. We've been friends for a long time. It feels like lifetimes, really. And I know we'll be friends for lifetimes to come. I'm so glad we got to do this chat. And I hope that all of you who have listened have got some incredible tools that you can use to become the best version of yourself, to manifest your dream life. It's not about just thinking about your dream life. We want you to be embodying it. It has been such a privilege, such a joy to have you tune in. And if you want to find out more, you can head over to my website. And of course, until next time, peace, love, and blessings, Melissa.